Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at Jamer Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, drop your questions into the comment box, and I will check from time to time. You'll see me sort of turn to the side, and feel free if you have a question for me or for our guest. Today's guest is Zuri Coles, corporate executive chef of the award-winning breakfast, brunch, lunch cafes, Miss Shirley's, here in the Maryland region. When you talk to a chef, there is always a story, there is always a journey, and we'll be learning more about Zuri today. So let's welcome Zuri.
Hi,
Hi, Zuri. Happy holidays. And
thank you.
what's on your plate today, other than the show?
Today is just a general, check emails kind of day, make sure orders and deliveries are good to go, and that everybody is ready at all of our locations for the numerous holiday parties that'll be coming into the restaurants.
Let's talk about Miss Shirley's now because there's a story behind Miss Shirley's. And why is it called Miss Shirley's? What is the cuisine like, and what are the locations?
So the restaurant is named Miss Shirley's. It was founded by Eddie Dobkin, and he has owned numerous restaurants in the past. And when he went to open Miss Shirley's, he decided to name and dedicate it after a longtime friend and co-worker, Miss Shirley, who he named the restaurant after. He worked with her for many years, and she was a close family friend.
And she
The
was from the South originally, wasn't she?
Yes, and they like to say that she never measured anything. She just, measured with her heart. So that's what we try to do here. We do a Southern inspired and Maryland inspired cuisine for breakfast, brunch, lunch. No dinner though.
Okay. And the locations there's the one in Roland Park.
The original location is here in Roland Park on Cold Spring Lane. The second location is downtown on Pratt Street. Third location on West Street in Annapolis. And we do have a location in the airport at BWI.
Right. I have to tell you a funny story. I came back from Jacksonville. I was on the plane, and these two women were sitting next to me. They didn't know each other. And one of them had a layover, and the other one says, I fly out of here often. She says, go to Miss Shirley's in the airport and be sure to get the shrimp and grits. True story.
Yeah, I
And
believe it.
I was going to ask this later in the show, but I fly by the seat of my pants at times. Is the shrimp and grits the number one dish out of Miss Shirley's, or is there something else that reigns supreme in all
It
the
is it
locations?
is a close signature dish, but definitely chicken and waffles is number one selling dish that comes out of Miss Shirley's.
Okay, and so I'll get back on track. We've said that the food is Southern slanted, that there's a touch of Maryland, so
No,
there's going to be crab meat and crab soup.
definitely.
Um, I want to jump into, I'm going to jump around.
Sure.
So, as being the executive corporate chef, you're involved with developing new dishes for the
Yes.
restaurant. There's obviously like chicken and waffles or the shrimp and grits that are always on the menu, but we're talking Christmas season now. What items might somebody find on the menu now at Miss Shirley's that
Sure.
are inspired by the holidays and the season?
So normally we change the menu only twice a year. We do a spring summer change and then a fall winter. So most of our seasonal like holiday special items you're going to find in our monthly specials. So every month we do a couple specials, and that's where you're going to find our holiday specials. So for December, we're doing a roast beef French dip sandwich with
Yeah.
au jus. And then we are doing a gingerbread cookie stuffed French toast.
Mhm.
So that is an amazing dish. And then we are also doing reindeer tracks pancakes with pretzels and chocolate chips and marshmallows. And we teamed up with a local company, with the Getz company, and it has their brownie cowtails inside the pancakes as well. So a little over the top there for the pancakes for the holidays.
But it sounds great for the kids, and
Yeah.
that's the Getz's caramels.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I would think as a chef that developing a new item or the specials is the fun part. Is it? And what is the process at Miss Shirley's to come up with these specials?
So it is definitely fun to be creative and have that opportunity to do and try fun things, and also to team up with other companies as well. So that creative process, we have some really great chefs at all of our locations. I like to take their ideas and feedback. I take customer feedback on things that they like and enjoy, and then see what really works in our kitchen and what aligns with what we're able to do our best at, and see what happens. And sometimes a special doesn't always go so well, and sometimes it goes so well that we keep it and we put it on the actual menu.
Well, can you remember any particular one that did that?
Yeah, so just this summer we participated in the governor's picnic, and I created a Krabby grilled cheese. So tomatoes, corn, crab meat, bacon, and then we team with a local farm, Chesapeake Mills, and they have a crabby cheddar cheese that they make on their farm. And so that was the cheese for the grilled cheese, and we won crowd favorite at the governor's picnic. So we decided to put it on the menu. We had created it just for that event, so as a special.
Well, that's
Now
great.
it's on the menu.
All right, so let's get back. My story here is every chef has a story. There is always a journey.
Yes.
And in reading your bio, you graduated Loyola College
Yes.
here in Baltimore. What was your degree in? What did you major in?
So I majored in English literature with a gender studies minor, nothing to do with cooking at all. But I had
So
always cooked. Both my parents cooked, and from the time I can remember, I was always in the kitchen cooking.
I was just going to ask you, do you remember, was there an aha moment as a child you went, oh, this is what I want to do?
I would say not as a child. My parents were always really great in the fact that they encouraged whatever I wanted to do. And so I was interested in culinary as a child. So whatever weird ingredients I wanted, they would buy for me at the store. They bought me the cookbooks I wanted. So I was able to explore all those things. And then after going to college, I was like, I think this is something that I actually want to try doing.
And then you went to Johnson and Wales, and what was it, their 2-year program,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. They're associates.
Um, I have to think back that, food for me was where the unity of the family was sitting around the table, which I've talked about before.
Sure.
And I think it sounds like, your parents made it seem special, and in doing it, there is that sense of family on a
Yeah.
daily basis. Now, you have 3 children,
Yes.
right? Tough job to raise 3 children. Your husband teaches, right?
Correct.
Did I do my homework well?
You did. You did.
Okay, so your husband teaches, so he's home at a certain time, but you're both out at the same time raising 3 children. Do
Yes.
any of them have any sort of draw towards fixing food or cooking at home?
I would say not too much. They all have their preferences on what they enjoy me cooking. I would say they're my toughest critics as far as food is concerned. And my oldest can be somewhat helpful in the kitchen when I'm making things, but I try to keep them engaged. in food as much as I can, and as well as other things. But I just like to, always have them trying new things. I say, as long as you try it, if you don't like it, that's fine, but you have to try.
Well, I had Sandra uh, Gutierrez on the last show,
Okay.
and she was raised. Her family said same thing. You have to at least taste it.
Yes.
And her parents went one step further. If they were a guest at somebody else's house and it was something
Mm,
new, says you have to eat it. You don't just taste
yes.
it.
I might
And
be on the same page there. So,
so that was it. Your maiden name was von Tiesenhausen hyphen Hush.
correct.
So quite a different background. Tell me about your family history.
So my mother was born in Germany. She came to America when she was around 4.5, 5 years old. And she actually moved to the South, and they lived in Alabama. So she definitely grew up with having a good German base of food, and then now adding on American Southern cuisine. And so I feel like I got a lot of both of those things in the home growing up. My dad is born and raised in New Jersey in the North. Um, and so then we have that mix there of like Northern American cuisine. So it was quite an eclectic household that I grew up in, but definitely brought in a lot of different food cultures, which was pretty amazing.
You watched a lot of cooking shows, if I saw in the bio. Was there one that was a favorite?
Julia Childs was definitely a favorite of mine many, many moons ago. This was all pre Food Network when I was watching these shows. So there weren't too many of them. Galloping Gourmet, there were a few, but not too many.
Natalie Dupree.
Yes, yes. Um,
Um, I had the pleasure, you see people on TV, and because of my passion for food and the things that I've done, that not only did I get to meet them, I was doing a trip down to Asheville
mhm.
and Charleston, and Natalie Dupree was there. So I sent her a note. I said, "You want to get together for cocktails?" She says, "No, I'm going to be in Brevard," which was near Asheville.
Yeah,
So we went to lunch, and I went back to the cottage they were staying in, and
yeah,
I'm going, here are these people that I
yeah,
watched and idolized and have become friends. So just another tangent of mine
yeah.
going
No,
off.
that's awesome. How food
Um,
brings people together, it really does.
when you went to Loyola, did you work part-time in a restaurant at all? Because a lot of college students did, and a lot of them shifted their careers because they fell in love with the industry.
I did not actually work in a restaurant during my time at Loyola, but I had a deal with my roommates, and they would all purchase the groceries, and I would make all the meals. So we definitely had fully cooked homemade meals pretty much every night. People in our building knew where to go if they wanted dinner. So it was kind of like a very casual, but yet, homey experience. It was great. Try out new things and have a lot of
Well,
community.
Maya Kamal, who has Maya Kamal's Indian food and cookbook author, she started off with, people at work kept smelling her food, and
Yeah,
it actually grew into her own business, which is all these products that are out there. But I just think it's amazing the paths that we go
right.
down, or, here's a turn and that leads you here and that leads you there. Let's
Yes,
go back to Johnson and Wales.
sure.
You go in for formal culinary training. Was there anything that you went that was a surprise, or that led you? Did it say, well, I'm going to stick with savory now, maybe I'm not touching baking, or
So I've always loved baking. I went through many phases of baking on my own accord. So actually doing a lot of the baking courses when I went to Johnson and Wales was part of the highlight of my time there, because I knew I probably wasn't going to focus solely on baking. So that was like awesome that I was able to, take some of those classes in the baking and pastry field. But I would probably say the learning more of the like business aspect of restaurants was probably the most eye-opening thing. I read a lot, so I've read a lot of culinary cookbooks, technique and stuff like that. So that wasn't too surprising when I went to culinary school for me. But probably more of that business aspect of the
Right.
culinary field was what I learned the most.
You've been at Miss Shirley's 14, 15 years?
15 years this year.
15
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it you just applied for a line cook and that's how the journey started at Miss Shirley's cafes?
So I did kind of try to sneak in as just a line cook. At the time, I was working for a fine dining establishment in DC, and the chef that I worked for actually knew Eddie Dopkin and was friends with him. I told him I was moving to Baltimore. Um, the chef I worked for at the time was in the process of building another location. And so I was going to have a couple months where there would be no restaurant for me to work at. So he was like, "Oh, well, I know someone in Baltimore. I'll give him a call." And so I was really just trying to come in under the radar as a line cook. I worked at a couple of Eddie's different establishments, Loco Hombre and Alonzo's, Miss Shirley's, even Classic Catering, and for a few months. And then I went back to DC when the new restaurant opened and did that for probably like a year and a half more. And then decided that I wanted something a little closer to where I lived in Baltimore. And
Mm.
I looked around for a while, and then Eddie called me and he was like, "I see that you're looking for a job here in Baltimore." He was like, "I'd love to have you back." So I came back and found a home here and
Well,
stayed.
yeah, it
Yeah.
must be a good home because chefs are famous for moving around,
Yes.
and 14 years says a lot.
Yeah.
How you became the executive chef at Roland Park and now the executive corporate chef.
Yes.
So that's fabulous. I'm just looking over my notes.
Sure.
Am I forgetting anything? Yeah, I want to get back to COVID
Sure.
and working with the charities. I'm curious because you worked with Jose Andreas's World
World
Central
Central
Kitchen.
Kitchen. Yes.
You did over 18,000 meals. Can you tell us a bit
Ooh,
about the process? I mean, who, if I think back years ago, it was Advanced Spices and he and I connecting where he would be and what he's doing. What is that process to work? I don't know if you got to meet him, but to work with World Central Kitchen.
Um, it was pretty amazing, actually. So I did not get to meet him, but through his, you know, company, we were able to provide locally in Baltimore City meals for underserved and underprivileged people and children. Um, and it was pretty amazing. The meals had to follow certain guidelines of being healthy and well balanced and well rounded. They had to be hot meals. And we were doing between 150 to 200 meals a day. Not every day of the week. Some weeks it would be 2 or 3 times a week. Other weeks it would be more or less, depending on the need at the time. So it was a lot of work, but it was quite fulfilling to be able to do that for the community, especially at that time. At that time, our staff was super super small. So it was a little tricky, but we knew that we had to do it, and it was something that we wanted to be a part of.
Miss Shirley gets involved with numerous charities. Um, they were doing something for first responders, weren't they? Or are they doing anything now? I
Yeah,
didn't know if,
so
go
at the
ahead.
beginning in COVID, we were taking people wanted to give money to help, and so we were taking donations. And then when we would get certain amounts, and then we would do donations to fire department stations, police department stations, to the hospitals, to schools, teachers. So whatever we could do with the money, we would make meals for them.
Right. I don't want to forget everyone. You can find it's Miss Shirley's plural.com
Yes.
and social media Miss Shirley's, whether it be Facebook or Instagram. You can find everything there. Go check out the menus. I'm going to come up to my last questions that I ask everyone.
Okay.
What was the best bite you had all week?
Honestly, my daughter's birthday was this week, so it's probably birthday cake with my daughter, because food is really special as far as moments and memories. So I would say that's probably my best bite this week, was sharing birthday cake with my daughter.
Did you bake the cake?
I did not bake the cake. I outsourced the cake, but yeah, it was delicious.
Okay, I was just food curious.
Yes.
If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Oof. That would probably be to always try new things. Don't be, scared of trying new things, because new things bring new opportunity, and do what you love.
Okay. If you wake up tomorrow with a new talent, what would the new talent be?
My new talent would be probably to remember all the things. I feel like my memory's going. um, so remembering all the moments in life,
Right?
that are so amazing. Photographic memory, maybe.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I wish I had that. I just wish I had a memory, but we go
Yeah.
from there. Your ultimate culinary fail.
Ooh, which one do I choose? um, I would say probably, I have a good story. I used to work for a catering company, and we used to do, I used to travel to like Super Bowls and US Golf Opens and do big, huge, like catered events for them. And we were working late one night. I had a rack of whole salmon sides, freshly baked off, more than 20 salmon sides on this rack, rolling along, not the proper way to roll a rack. And I dumped the whole rack of salmon over as I was trying to take it to the walk in. And I think I cried. Um, and then I had to start all over again. But yeah, that was a pretty epic fail for me. But I learned from it, learned how to roll the rack the right way so that I don't do that again. And first thing I always tell people too is to roll the rack the right way. And but you learn and you move on, and it
Right.
was exciting.
Well, I want to remind people that Miss Shirley's Cafe does breakfast, brunch, and lunch. The two top items that fight together are shrimp and grits and chicken and waffles.
Yes.
And there are 4 locations in Maryland, 2 in Baltimore, 1 in Annapolis, and 1 in BWI Airport. So if you're traveling through BWI and you have some time,
Yep.
just find Miss Shirley's and sit down and get either shrimp and grits or chicken and waffles or anything else on the menu that your heart desires.
Yes.
Are there any, I don't know if the promotion's over with. Are you still running the promotion on gift cards, or that was just Thanksgiving?
Nope, we're still doing our gift card promotion, which is buy $100 and get a $10 bonus gift card for every $100 spent. So yes, definitely, please come get gift cards. Those are great gifts for the holidays.
And who doesn't like chicken and waffles or shrimp and grits? If they don't like it,
If they don't, we'll have something else for them. We
okay.
have a few lighter side items, gluten-free, if that's what
Well,
you need.
you got everything covered at Miss Shirley's, and
Yes.
they've won so many awards for their food and being restaurateur and chef of the year and blah, blah, blah. So the accolades are there. I
Thank you.
want to thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you the best of the holiday season. I have a couple notes for everybody who's going to be on the show next week and some little tidbits to cover. Thank you again. The best of the holiday season and a peaceful 2024.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on.
My joy, my joy. Okay, everyone, before I forget, Merry Xmas for those who celebrate. Happy New Year. Prayers for peace and love for 2024. The Food Enthusiast will return in 2 weeks when Renee Fisher, an award winning documentary filmmaker, is on about her latest film, Forager, inspired and featuring local chef Chris Amendola of Forage Restaurant, who I think is nominated in the running for James Beard semifinalist or finalist. Um, they will be joining, he will be joining us. So both of them will be on talking about the movie. And I think it's going to be a fascinating show. My little food tidbit, all these lists are coming in for best cookbooks of the year. I just mentioned my Kamal and her book, Indian Flavor Every Day, for making the best cookbook list, New York Times, that came out. Sandra Gutierrez of Latissimo, her book on multiple lists, the Food Network, Nick Sharma. These are all people that have been on the show. His new book, Vegetable, is up for many awards. You can see all these interviews are in the archives. So you can look on the Facebook page, Jay Moore's page, and go to the videos and check them out, or go to jmooreliving.com. There's a drop down under food. It says the Food Enthusiast, and all the interviews that I've done, all 175 of them, are there for viewing. Jay Moore Living gives away a $50 gift card to some of your favorite restaurants. Visit jmooreliving.com/contest to enter to win. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at food@jmooreliving or on Instagram. Do follow me on Instagram at Dara Cooks. All shows are immediately archived in video form on Jay Moore's Facebook page and jmooreliving.com. Feel free, please feel free to dig into our video archives of past shows. We truly appreciate it when you share a show with friends and family. May your plates always, always remain full. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.